Today we're spotlighting a platform that's all about sharing with communities right here in Michigan. It's more than just giving back, but building stronger and more vibrant communities all across the Great Lakes state of Michigan. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson, and joining me today is Carly Moore, the Executive Director of Share Detroit. We're glad to have you here today, Carly.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So, you know I'm going to make this pun. Will you share what Share Detroit is, please?
Of course. Yeah, so Share Detroit is a nonprofit, and we focus mainly on building nonprofits and connecting them to community members. So we serve the entire greater Detroit region, and it is a great source for people who want to do good, looking to connect with a nonprofit, and we help make those connections happen while also supporting the nonprofits with their own, like capacity building and that kind of stuff.
Okay, how long has it been in existence? I hate to tell you, I had not heard of it until I met you. Yes. So tell me, how long has it been with us?
Yeah, so we launched February of 2021. We had just 20 nonprofits, and yeah, we were small but trucking along, and today we're at over 500 organizations, and our goal is to one day get to 1,000, because people don't realize there's so many nonprofits in your backyard that people just don't know about.
And what spurred the creation of this?
Yeah, so the Share platform actually started in Charlotte, North Carolina, by a woman, Kelly Brooks, and she moved to the area, wanted to do good, and was essentially like, how do I do this? And so very organically built the Share Charlotte platform, and then was like, wow, this has legs and other communities could probably really benefit from having this there. And she reached out to Paul Vlasic, who's one of our angel investors, and told him about the idea. He came to me, and I just never let it go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got connected, and when did you come into the picture?
Yeah, so I had graduated college. I was teaching in Detroit for about 3 years, and was sort of just trying to decide if I wanted to continue teaching or do the more nonprofit service route, and really identified with the second and wanted to serve the community in a more meaningful capacity than I was currently doing. And that sort of, I think back in 2016 was when we first heard the idea of Share. And then it was a few years of just working in the background, trying to meet with nonprofits, see if this was something that they would be interested in, doing the legwork. And then we launched in 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think prepared you for this? I know you said teaching, but that's first of all, a very special calling to teach. What grades did you teach?
I taught second and third grade.
That's a really special calling.
They're amazing. Yeah, and it was great. For the 3 years, I looped with my class from second up to third grade, and we were a public charter school, so it eventually was closing, and that's sort of where I was like, do I want to switch schools or do I want to change careers? And I just was living in Detroit, working with the families I worked with, just seeing the need that's there in the community that's not being met, or people who are doing good work in the community, but they just don't know that they're there, and they could be a really great resource. So working on getting those nonprofits the visibility they need in order to be sustainable was something I was always really passionate about, and I love volunteering, so it was just a really natural fit with all of my interests, being able to funnel it into Share Detroit.
And so you've seen it grow. You mentioned it starts with just over a dozen, maybe, nonprofits. How did you get connected to those first folks that were on board?
Yeah, I always joke that we're scrappy. So it's honestly a testament to how much Share Detroit is needed, but there's no free comprehensive database for nonprofits in the greater Detroit area. And we want to be that. So you go to Share Detroit and you can just click through the 500 nonprofits, filter through things that you're passionate about, interested in, or maybe a location you want to serve, and then connect with those nonprofits. And so in order to find those nonprofits, I had to do a lot of digging through, news articles that highlighted 12 nonprofits to give to this holiday season, and I just slowly started building up a database and reaching out to those nonprofits. And what's interesting is I think all of our founding members are still on the platform and still our biggest supporters, which is really great, and they were so instrumental in me rolling this out to the community, which was really so helpful.
And it grew, as you said, like over
Yeah.
500, right? Okay. And in how many years did that happen?
4 years, yeah.
Wow.
It was at the end of last year we hit 500. And what's cool about Share Detroit, and I haven't even mentioned this part, is it's completely free, not only for the community to use, but for the nonprofits. So a lot of grassroots organizations don't have like a big operating budget, money to spend on resources. So the ability to be able to create a profile on Share Detroit, showcase their mission, and then all of the ways that the community can help them is so, it's a game changer for them. They didn't have that on their website before. Yeah. And then to be alongside, the larger organizations, the Forgotten Harvests, like the American Cancer Societies, is really cool. It levels the playing field and puts all of our nonprofits, out there for the community member to choose.
And I'm putting you on the spot. Can you remember, or can you tell me some of the names of the original ones?
Oh,
Is it okay to ask that?
Yeah,
You're
I can
like,
tell you all of them.
Okay, great, go for it.
Yeah, no, Camp Casey was one of the first ones, and they bring horses to children's homes for, call them horsey house calls. They were one of my first nonprofits. Kids Kicking Cancer was another one. They do amazing work. Kids on the Go is another one. They're just all great. And what's cool about my job is I get to meet with these nonprofits, face to face, learn about their mission, why they got into this work, and then really help them share that message with the community.
And do the things that they want to do.
Exactly.
Right? I imagine when you're having those conversations, are there nonprofits that you work with that, and we'll talk, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I'd love to hear more about that, because sometimes you may have nonprofits maybe you've had to say no to because they're not ready to be part of it. So we have to take a break, but we'll be right back and you'll hear more all about this. Stay tuned.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arts-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch!
Van Gogurt, thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Yes, ready. Go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Michigan. I'm Chris Benson. Joining me today is Executive Director from Share Detroit, Carly Moore. And in the last segment, we were just getting to that idea of, you probably have to vet these nonprofits to make sure, A, that you want to endorse them on your platform, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the world, but also that they're someone that would benefit from what you're doing. So talk a little bit about the nonprofit vetting process.
Yeah, we want everyone that comes to sharedetroit.org to feel comfortable donating money, donating their time, donating resources to these organizations. So we do the vetting process on our end. So every organization on Share Detroit is a registered 501c3. And as of now, we are not open to churches, schools, or clubs. And the reason being, we want to really showcase the nonprofits that rely on the public for those donations in order to be sustainable, whereas like the other entities often have their own audiences. So we go through, I check out their EIN, make sure everything's good, and then go through the approval process before anyone can interact with their profile.
And there's a lot of, I know there's different engines, we won't go into all of it, but there's places on the web where people can also take a look at, and make sure that the nonprofits they're working with, you can see like their 990s and everything, so you can make sure when you're donating that's, or your time or your funds, that it's going to an organization that's being properly managed.
Exactly.
And so that's wonderful to have that reassurance too, because if I'm a volunteer and I want to, be part of something, I want to know that it's on the up and up, if you will.
Exactly. And we really value transparency. And so it's providing the community with all the information so that they can make a choice about what organization they can get involved with and support.
Okay, so I want to make it really concrete now for folks that are watching. So let's say I'm a high school student and I have been told, or I'm excited about getting to do some service hours.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what I want to do. I have parents, maybe they're going to drop me off, or they want to come with me to do the service. And so when I go to the platform, what would I do? What would it look like?
That's a really great question. So yeah, when you go to sharedetroit.org, you're met with, you can choose a nonprofit, or you can go right to volunteering, right to attending events. I always recommend going through the nonprofits, applying different filters based on things you're passionate about, interested in. But for specifically with volunteering, what's cool is you can filter by skill sets and like other interests like that. So for high schoolers, being a tutor or a mentor, like I always tell nonprofits, who better to help you with your social media than a Gen Z millennial, student that needs to gain some work experience. And so you can filter by that, and a lot of the opportunities are done virtually now, and so you can actually get involved without having to leave the comfort of your own home and still make a massive difference for an organization.
So give me some examples of what virtual volunteering looks like for those who might be like, oh, that's a new concept for me.
Yeah, so when you think about what nonprofits have to spend money on, a lot of people you don't think about the website. And in order to do all of the functionality that a lot of the nonprofits need in order to be sustainable, they need web support, they need IT support, things like that. We have a lot of positions that are data research. For Share Detroit, for example, we have one that's finding the nonprofits so that I can reach out to them. So it's little things like that especially if you have court-ordered service, you can really fit it into your schedule so that you can get those hours done without driving across the greater Detroit region.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll give you another example. Let's say I'm retiring and I have a lot more time on my hands than I did before, and I want to still be engaged, and maybe I want to do a little bit of volunteering, but then I want to get involved in something a little more long term. And I know I've got a lot of experience in different things that I want to give. So what might I find on the platform for that?
Yeah, depending on what skill sets you have, there's a million different ways that you can get involved. If you were a lawyer or a hairstylist in your working days, spending your time volunteering in those capacities, it totally maximizes the value of that volunteer's time. So the other pieces that we like to share, I'm totally blanking right now. You go first.
No, but that's what I'm saying is you're talking about getting people connected, and either it could be by their skill. One of the other things I saw on your platform that I thought was really interesting was maybe it's a cause that I have. Maybe I want to get involved working with children, or maybe I understand that I'm an advocate for taking care of people who are part of domestic violence situations, and I want to coach them. So I think
Exactly.
I saw that you could filter by the different causes too.
Yeah, so if you're passionate about helping people with mental disabilities or women, domestic violence, you can apply all of those filters as well. A lot of nonprofits also need like hands-on help in like the more traditional sense. So landscaping, farm work, cutting grass. We have one nonprofit that goes to seniors' homes and cuts their grass for them. Oh. Like my dad loves mowing lawns, so what a perfect opportunity for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so it sounds like I can find a lot of good information out there. And as I think about these organizations, when I go on the platform, it's going to connect me to a specific volunteer opportunity. Does it connect me to their website? Like, can I see a lot of information about them?
Yeah, so on the profile, the nonprofit has complete autonomy over what that looks like, the messaging that's there. When you find a volunteer opportunity that you're interested in, we have a quick little volunteer interest form. You put it in your basic info. You can include any notes to the nonprofit that you want. And then that interest form gets sent directly to the nonprofit. So there's no middleman. You're immediately connected with the organization and they can reach back out to you via phone, email, whatever works for them. And so it's a really quick way, like especially if you are like, I need to volunteer yesterday. Getting in touch with a nonprofit and having to go through all those steps can be challenging. It's nice to be able to like directly connect with a nonprofit, get your questions answered and start doing good.
I imagine this is a huge time saver. How did people do this before a platform?
I really don't know. And I think that that's where nonprofits just really enjoy Share Detroit. Is not only is it a community of nonprofits that now have the ability to find each other, collaborate with one another, but they're also getting more visibility into the community, and especially in areas that they didn't normally used to. So, introducing nonprofits to middle schools, high schools. We've done some school fairs. So like you mentioned, high schoolers that need National Honor Society hours, having all of these nonprofits come to one place so the students can interact with them. That's been a really cool. We did that with Romeo Middle Schools, which was really fun.
Wow. Well, we already have another break, but I hope you'll stay with us. And I hope you'll stay with us. When we come back, we'll hear a little bit more about Share Detroit and their mission. Stay tuned.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
When life's this hard, it's no wonder 7,000 students drop out every school day. Visit boostup.org and help kids in your community stay in school.
I want to see the world.
When you pick up a book,
I used to read every night to all the younger kids,
and let your imagination break free, you won't believe how much fun it can be.
Let down your helmet!
Experience a world of adventure, excitement, and endless possibilities. Get tangled up in a good book. Explore new worlds. Read. Visit read.gov today.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Zane!
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and I'm joined by Carly Moore, the Executive Director of Share Detroit, where you're sharing so many amazing, over 500 nonprofits with the greater Detroit area. It's just incredible. Have you ever thought about the reach and the impact of what this platform, which is a website, it's a let's just say it, okay, it's a website, and how it has amplified what these nonprofits could do?
Yeah, it's really hard. That's one of our challenges as a nonprofit is seeing that impact, because a lot of the connections happen once they've connected via the website, and then they continue to volunteer. So I always follow up with the nonprofits, but also with the volunteer applicant. Like, how did it go? Did you hear back? And from there, we found some really cool stories about, people who connected with a nonprofit through Share Detroit, and they've continued to give or turned into financial donors. It's been really cool to see. And we're open to all sectors. So it's, you see that impact with the animals, the environment, with literacy. It's really cool.
And we were talking during the break, you have like an events place there. Talk a little bit about that. So it's like, I could just, I'm like, oh, it's Saturday and I've got nothing to do.
Exactly.
Let's see what's going on.
Yeah, so nonprofits can post events, and it can be any event that they're hosting, participating in, benefiting from. So a lot of nonprofits, they'll have booths at local art fairs, or they'll partner with a restaurant, and the proceeds will go to their organization for like dinner one night. And so the nonprofits put those on their profile, so then you can go on Share Detroit, click the events, and then see in chronological order all of the events coming up. If you want more info, click on it and it'll show you a graphic or take you right to the page.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a good way to do some fun stuff, but also do good in the process.
Yeah, we were saying you got the family and you're like, we're bored, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Wow, we could go do this for the day.
Yeah.
And feel great after.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure.
it's sometimes it's I've found one of our nonprofits, Veg Michigan, they'll do cooking webinars, and they have a vegan food festival. So it's cool things that you wouldn't even necessarily associate with a nonprofit, but by going to those events, you're supporting that organization, their mission, and all the work they do, which is so valuable.
I have a feeling that you leave at the end of the day and you probably have tons of stories of ways that, you get to see the good in the world, because we get to see so many things that are not what we want to see. And then, sometimes we say, gosh, I just wish, I could see the good. But I have a feeling you see that all the time. Is there one story that just comes to mind that can really just kind of symbolize why you love working for Share Detroit?
Yeah, I always say this, I really scored my dream job with this, because it totally restores your faith in humanity, meeting with people who are so passionate. I feel rarely do people set out to be I want to lead a nonprofit. It's more so something happens to you, someone you love was affected by something. So it's people who are just really passionate. One of the people that just immediately sticks out is Shayna White from her nonprofit is Picking Up the Pieces. She was formerly homeless and realized that, a house is not a home, and you might get a house, but it's not filled with any furniture. So she's focused on furnishing these homes for families that are, homeless, getting into houses. And I remember meeting with her for the first time, and she just said, I just need one yes. I just need someone to say yes. And I was like, well, I don't know what I can provide, but I'm saying yes. And she ended up winning $1,000 through our Giving Tuesday campaign, getting connected to Rotary clubs and meeting other nonprofits like COTS. Now Asha from COTS is on her board, and it's really cool to see all of the ways that people collaborate on our website.
So it's you're like an amplifier.
Yeah.
You really are. So you've got all these little, I don't want to say entrepreneurial, but they are, and they have to be. They have to have that spirit, to serve and do the good work that they're trying to do. And you're kind of times 10.
Yeah.
Helping them really amplify their message.
Yeah, and I tell the nonprofit leaders I meet with all the time, it's most people have a job. I work in marketing, I work in finance. When you're leading a grassroots nonprofit, you're everything. You're all in one, and there's not enough time in the day to get everything done. And there are people out there who really want to do good, want to support, but they don't know how. There's not a way for them to find it. And so to be able to make these connections and not only see the good that the nonprofits are doing, but see how many people want to do good, want to support, want to make Greater Detroit a better area, it's really inspiring.
So how can people who are watching help Share Detroit? Like they could
Love
use
that.
the platform to get to other things, but what do you need to keep this amplification going?
Yeah, so we are also a nonprofit. So our nonprofit is on Share Detroit. We have a profile. So you can donate directly to our organization. Like monetary donations are always the best way, I feel like, to if you have the ability to support. But just, being an advocate for what we're trying to do, like when you hear you want to do good or someone wants to volunteer, pointing them in the direction of Share Detroit so that they can then make those decisions and have that autonomy is really cool.
And what do you see for the future of Share Detroit? Where are you guys going from here?
Yeah, my goal would be to get to 1,000 nonprofits sooner rather than later. It's really wild. There's thousands in our area, and to think that I spend my days intentionally finding these organizations and knowing that there are still so many out there that I don't even know about, it continues to blow my mind. But yeah, it's really, really a cool job that I get to do.
New needs every day coming up, and
Exactly.
then therefore new organizations that have to fill those needs. So it sounds like you're going to have job security for a long time in a good way. Shane, it's been such a wonderful experience getting to talk to you today. I really appreciate you being here and telling us all about Share Detroit, and we wish you so much success in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing this with us today. We'll see you next time at Celebrate Michigan. We celebrate all the great things happening in the state. Don't you feel good after seeing a show like this? I know I do. Take care. We'll see you next time.